Another week, another race row. This time Adidas at the centre of trouble as the sportswear brand came under fire for their latest trainer design, which features slave-like ankle prison shackles. Yes, really. You'll see a picture on facebook.com/ReyaUK. Now, the trainers were due to be released in August, but after complaints poured in from around the world, Adidas cancelled those plans and have now withdrawn the design completely. Journalist and author Hannah Poole joins us to share her thoughts. Hannah, lovely to have you on BBC Radio Nottingham.
It's lovely to be here, thank you.
Were Adidas right to withdraw the trainers' planned release?
Without a doubt, they were right, absolutely, yeah. I mean, to me, the most remarkable thing is that they even got to the stage of being about to release these things, because in the world of fashion, nothing happens without an accident. These trainers would have been seen by, tens of people around the Adidas table, and the idea that not one of them at any point said, hang on a minute, guys, shackles, really, is astonishing.
Well, in defence, Adidas initially said that they saw the designs as quirky and light-hearted. How do you feel about that?
To me, shackles is not something that you joke about. There are certain things that it's not really appropriate. Obviously, fashion is supposed to be out there and edgy, and it's supposed to be challenging. That's fine, but again, I think slavery for me is not something that should be appropriated and watered down and thought of as sort of an accessory, if you like.
Well, some would say that art's at its best when it's pushing boundaries.
Absolutely, but you've got to remember this is about commercial, this is about selling shoes. And so, and what starts out with something like Adidas is about taking what's an incredibly important part of history, absolutely, and turning it into a sort of fashion moment is just really inappropriate.
Do you think the world of fashion has a responsibility to tread more carefully?
Fashion is so important. I know people sometimes think, as you said, another race row, another week. But actually, these things are really, really important. And the responsibility that comes both with big brands and also emerging designers when you're thinking about what people are wearing, these things are really crucial. And you have to you can't take it lightly. You can't take the language that surrounds it lightly. And they have at least lived by their responsibility. They've seen that the public found it really distasteful, and they've withdrawn it, so they've seen that they have a responsibility.
Well, thinking about this from a wider context, the idea of Africa and the way that Africa is used across fashion is something that you've written quite a bit about in the past.
Yeah, I mean, fashion and Africa has a long and sort of fantastic history in many ways. Fashion is inspired by many places. One minute it's Africa, the next minute it's India or wherever else, which I think is great in principle. But I do always worry when Africa is sort of considered to be having a fashion moment, because I don't like the idea of it being a trend. To me, it's something that's around all the time. And also, whenever kind of Africa is seen as sort of as having a fashion moment, it's always talked of as if it's almost a country rather than a continent with lots of, what is African fashion? African fashion is many, many things. West African is different from East African. Ethiopian might be different from Sudanese or Somali. There are all these, and unfortunately when fashion sort of says, it's all about Africa, they don't really give us the specifics. It's much more, borrowing is fine, being inspired by is fine, but fashion should really be crediting exactly what and who these designers are that they're being inspired by.